guys, this is Jason Clark from Iowa City Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and today we're going to talk about utilizing the Muay Thai Front Clinch, the pros and cons of it, and using it in a self-defense situation. This is our Damien, Coach Damien. He's our Muay Thai and Combat Jiu-Jitsu coach here at Iowa City Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He's going to show us the fundamentals of the Muay Thai Front Clinch and some of the things he can do with it.
So what I would first want to do, obviously, is pull his head down to my knees. Throw the knees, press down the chin, back on the eyebrows. Anyway, any shot to his head with my knees is really going to hurt because I'm pulling his head down as I've got the force of my knees coming up with my hips behind, as well as the knees. I can knee to his stomach. I can knee to his legs if I want. From here also, I can post out his shoulders, his traps, or his head, and with very minimal space, I can hit him with the elbows. Elbows here, push off, boom, elbows. Yep, and also if I would like to, I can whip him around, basically taking one step back, pivot, and going to the ground. Those are the basics of the clinch. In close fighting, dirty, nasty fighting. You can grab a hold of something, don't let go, control the head, throw your knees, throw your elbows. Good in close fighting.
We've got to remember that Muay Thai is a combat sport and it is a dueling system, much like boxing, judo, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. They're dueling types of combat sports where it's one fighter versus one fighter, and there's a rule set. And there's an important thing to remember about that rule set is the rule set will dictate the tactic. Muay Thai has an objective, which is to be able to defeat your opponent using legal tactics, and all those tactics come from the front. It's illegal to strike from behind on your opponent, right?
Yep.
If I get behind you, I can't hit you in the back of the head or anything like that. So if I get behind my opponent, the action stops and we reset. If I throw him to the ground or I knock him to the ground, the action stops until he can get back up and we can continue fighting. Now, in our self-defense strategies, it's a much different strategy. One thing that we have a problem with using different types of martial arts for self-defense systems is taking into account what happens out here in the real world, which is the use of weapons, more than one person being involved, the fight not starting fairly, but starting by being ambushed or jumped. Those are all things we need to take into consideration when we choose what type of self-defense tactics we're going to use. All right, let's look at one of the first scenarios that could happen if Damien opts to use the Muay Thai Front Clinch when we're within contact range for this problem here where I'm going to be the aggressor, okay? So, dude, what the hell? You ran into the back of my car. I don't care anymore any problems. Today's the worst day of your life right now. Listen, I throw my haymaker, Damien comes in, he gets me in that Thai clinch, and he starts throwing his knees. So I might eat one or two, but if I can catch one of his legs, throw that other leg, please. If I can catch onto one of his legs, he's got a problem here where he's only on one foot. And I'm just going to do a very simple run the pipe. And I put him on the ground. Things are going to get real bad here if he doesn't have any ground fighting skills, where if I'm intent on staying into this fight, I'll be looking to clear his legs and start getting on top of him and start beating him up from here. Every time you throw a knee, you're on one foot. And I may not be the best wrestler in the world, and I may not even really know how to do a single leg well, but if I grab onto your leg and I can push you down, I'm going to have the advantage on you. You're no longer mobile if you're on the ground. So that's one reason why I don't really like to throw knees in a fight. And the Muay Thai Front Clinch is a position that's designed to throw knees. Okay?
Nope.
So I throw my haymaker, he jams it, he pulls me into the Thai Front Clinch, and here I am. Now he's reluctant to throw his knees because of what just happened before. I put him on the ground. But there's a problem here. He may be trying to move me around with this, but okay, there's a weapon involved. So what happened here is Damien had control over my head, but he didn't have control over my hands. And the position right in front of me allowed me to have a target when I produced the weapon into the fight. And there are good guys and bad guys that carry weapons to protect themselves. The good guys use self-defense weapons, so they're defensive tools. The bad guys have offensive tools, or using them to earn their living, but you never know who you're dealing with when you get entangled with them. The best idea is to assume they have a weapon, okay? So I have a knife. This is a training knife. Small fixed blade knives work very well in these situations. We have a small trainer knife here, but these small fixed blade knives are easy to produce. They hide well on the body in concealment. This trainer is not very concealable, but once I have it in here, you saw I did a tactic called the sewing machine, where it's a prison tactic, and I just start running him through the belly and driving him backwards, and it's very hard for him to escape because he's always in front of the knife. If I produce my knife and he throws a knee at me, okay, I have the inside of the thigh right there as a target. The genitals are a target. Coming underneath the perineum is a target. If I get a little bit taller here, if my knife is long enough, definitely into the belly is good enough, but if it's a small fixed blade, I can start coming over the top into the neck and the face. So he jams me up, he's got me down, he's controlling me with the tie clinch. So what happened there in this situation was very similar. We're in that front clinch here, and he's not controlling my hands, so I'm able to produce my firearm here and fire my shot. It's not working very well today for the airsoft here, but just shooting air at Damien. And I come to a high pectoral thumb index, downward angle here. Doesn't matter where I hit in here. Anywhere in here is going to get some results for me. And once I get some separation, I got him off of me, and it just gets worse from here, depending on my intentions with the firearm. So these two problems are going to run the same for civilians that are armed, as well as civilians that are unarmed. So,
warning. The following scene shows a real fight involving a knife and blood that may not be suitable for all viewers. Guys, coming in from the bottom left of the screen will be a man in a light colored shirt with a knife, and he'll be chasing somebody else around this busy store. And we're going to see a good Samaritan notice what's going on and get involved right there by making contact with the knifer. These two begin to fight, and the Good Samaritan's focused on punching and controlling the head of the knifer, not controlling the hands. And at this moment, we see they become briefly entangled. And right here is where I believe the knifer stabs the Samaritan in the femoral artery. Now, the Good Samaritan's not the intended victim. He was just intervening, preventing the attacker from completing his attack, so that's why he got stabbed. Another Good Samaritan intervenes and ushers the knifer out the door, but things do not go well for the original Good Samaritan. This was a lethal attack. And guys, I understand that what we saw here was not the Muay Thai Front Clinch, but what it did show was getting involved in an entanglement with somebody who has a weapon and you're not controlling the hands.
all right, so now I'm still the aggressor. Damien is our good guy, and now he is carrying a concealed weapon on him. Okay, so we get into our argument here. Okay. Dude, he blocks me up. He jams me into the Muay Thai Front Clinch. Again, my hands are free to move. I could use them to block knees, so if he throws knees, I could reach across trying to block here. But in being down here, I can see his waistline, and in my effort of struggling and fighting with him, I feel that there's something here. I recognize it as a firearm. If you notice in this situation, my hands are closer to his firearm than his hands are. So if we're talking about a race, Damien, get your firearm. I can always beat him because my hands are closer. Even in situations where it's covered up with a cover garment, it's concealed here, I can't see it. If I can see it, it's worse, because if I can see it, I can take it. But here, I'm struggling with Damien, and I feel something underneath my hand. What is it? I can pull his shirt up, and I can reach in and pull his gun out, and I can shoot him with his own gun. And that's a problem as a concealed weapons carrier if you do not understand how to have weapons retention in an entanglement. Because these holsters that most people wear as civilians carrying a firearm don't have active retention. They're meant to be concealed and easy to get to. Okay? So you're going to have a problem there if you're not aware of how this exists. This what we call a drag race to a firearm. Damien's going to be the aggressor now. We've put a dummy knife in his waistband here, and we're in an altercation I can't get out of, much along the same lines we were doing earlier. He's going to throw his haymaker. I'm going to default cover and close the distance on him, okay? So,
let's go, man. Come on, dude.
Dude, get away from me. I default cover, I close the distance, I come in, and what we're looking at here is being inside as much as I can so that I can get an underhook on this side over here and a wrist tie over here. My head positioning is down in his jawline, and I'm off to the side of him with my, turn your hips. I'm off to the side of him here as much as I can. Now this is keeping me, I'm not directly in front of him. My hips are orientated towards him. His hips are orientated out into space. So that means I could drive through him. And in fact, that's a tactic that we're gonna do from here, is we're gonna be trying to drive and destabilize. My wrist tie here is controlling his access to his waistline, so he cannot access weapons. My underhook here is doing the same thing. Can you reach for your waistline, Damien, with your right hand? It's very hard for him to get access with his right hand or his left. What are some options from here for me? I could, if I have any takedown skills, I could look to throw him on the ground. So we have a tie and an underhook here. There's a lot of throws we could do from here. Let's just look at a simple hip toss.
Come on, boy.
Get out of here. Default cover into an underhook and a wrist tie. Now, square up a little bit, Damien, with your feet. All right, so from this position, what may happen is I want to get away from Damien. I don't want to try to escape this entanglement from in front of him. If I'm in front of him, he could produce a tool and start to use it on me, or we'll be back into more of a neutral position. Right now I have an advantage. If I go to the front, we're gonna square up and be more neutral. To get out of this, now let's say I don't know Damien has a tool. I don't know if he has a knife or not, but I should assume that he does. To exit out of this entanglement, I could duck under and go behind and then push off of him to create distance between us, because distance is going to give me time to produce a weapon, if need be. So as I push off of him, I'm ready to draw. He turns, he's got his knife, and I've already am ready to draw. Same idea, dude, I don't want any trouble, just let me get out of here, okay, I'm so sorry. Default cover, underhook here, I duck under, push off. That's a great time to run away, right there. I got a lot of distance between him and I can bolt. Right, guys, so to wrap it up, the Muay Thai Front Clinch is a great technique to use in the ring when you're in there going one-on-one with somebody, and in a Muay Thai fight or an MMA fight, but it does have its shortcomings, as we saw in a self-defense situation, whether you're armed or you're unarmed, whether you're a civilian, whether you are a law enforcement officer. There are some limitations to the techniques. And the biggest one is you're not controlling the hands of the threat that's directly in front of you. You gotta address that issue. So, once again, thanks for watching. This is Coach Damien, and thanks for helping out. I'm Jason Clark. We're from Iowa City Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. You can go to our website, iowacitybjj.com. You can follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/ICBJJ. Thanks a lot.